Have you ever felt a very, very strong urge to do something, but only after you've done it, it left you feeling not as satisfied as you want, so unfulfilled? It is most probably because you lack purpose. Maybe you had the desire or urge, passion, but what do you need to feel fulfilled? Purpose. So the difference between passion and purpose has to be clearly understood. Passion is code about the emotion, motivation, and what makes us feel good. Do what you love. It's an inward impact. Whereas purpose is code, the reason or why behind what we do, primarily for others. Do what contributes. It's an outward impact. We can have more than one passion. Passion can be wild, selfish, and all over the place. For example, if your passion is to eat moringa right now, then after you've eaten it, your passionate task is fulfilled. So thinking it that way, it's only for your appetite, and it can also be short-lived. But purpose is forever. It isn't flustered by failure or sensitive to the criticism of our peers or superiors. Purpose doesn't stop if the results don't go according to plan during the first 15 times. Purpose doesn't stop if we have mapped out this exact role for ourselves and then fail to obtain it, says Diego Contreras on Thought Catalog. From religious point of view, purpose is God-given, and everything and everyone comes with a purpose born from heaven. But I'm not too religious, let me say, and I'm going to tell you right now about my purpose and passion. It's because I do assume that it will help you find out yours and also explain them. Firstly, my passion is to educate and entertain with the knowledge and experiences I've had and collected throughout my life over the years. The best way to do this right now for me is through video blogging, which I do feel very strongly passionate about. And my purpose is to influence the world for the better, hopefully through doing what I love or my passion. Where do my passion and purpose come from? As I mentioned, I'm not too religious, so I'm going to try to come up with a scientific explanation right now. Hear me out. Since I was born, I started learning, which is to say, as just born infants, all of us, we didn't have anything so much more better to do than just to learn and explore to grow. So I had very simple logic back then because, as you would understand, everything when we were younger was much more simple than when we grew up. For example, when I touched fire, I immediately learned that it was hot because it burned me. I had so many lessons like that in my life, like how I discovered that universal truth that everybody should know, fire is hot. And also, when I was hungry, which was a basic human need, I knew I had to ask for food. Maybe through a verbal communication that I could do, like a cry, or as soon as I could start to speak, I expressed it in words. So my valuing language to express myself, and back then with that example just to fulfill my basic needs, has just been there ever since. And as I started to learn English, I finally got the hang of the basic grammar patterns and rules, which were, in my opinion, the core that helped me improve my English up to this level. I knew that it wasn't something so difficult, and so I became really good at it. And also because of the English influence around me, I'm passionate about English, which I'm trying to utilize right now to get to my purpose also, because it's easy and it's become one of my passions. So I had this very clear and simple logic that every problem had a root cause, and if we could eliminate the root cause, the problem would just be gone. And I try to use that logic a lot in my childhood, and luckily I might say I solved a lot of my and other people's problems. So that logic always stayed with me. As simple as things were back in my childhood, as I grew up, just like anybody else, a lot more things came into my life and were at play. So as simple as my life was back then in my childhood, I could see a lot of other people around me whose lives were not so. They were having complications, and at least they were feeling some. So suffering from these. So even in big gargantuan problems like global warming, my simple logic applied to find the root cause, because the root cause, if you're going to trace it back all the way down, it's by people. So if we are going to change our habits and decide to save the world, then global warming could just be gone. So it can be fixed, right? And as a child, I watched a lot of Harry Potter. Harry Potter had to face a lot of problems in his life, but the biggest and the final problem of Dark Lord Voldemort was finally solved in the end because of his step-by-step approach to destroy his life-holding Horcruxes. And it's a very good story in a way that it motivated me to take it step by step to solve problems, no matter how overwhelming they may seem. That was the kind of motivation the movie gave me also. And also one of the big reasons I'm so big on entertainment, because of such events I had. Now a little more about my purpose and how it came to be. Alright? So whenever I could get, as a child, my basic needs fulfilled, food, shelter, and clothes, I always was so thankful because they were always given to me, and as a child, of course, almost always by my parents and those who supported me generously. And I was grateful that people were willing to give me those things without actually expecting anything back in return. But whenever I could get those, like I mentioned, needs fulfilled, I always felt so serene and tranquil. I had so many of those moments sitting all by myself at the balcony and imagining the wonders of the world. So I had to just instill that calmness in other people's lives in a way, because of how I was given them. I wanted to give that kind of opportunity and chance to other people, and everybody who were very underprivileged must have lacked those things. So I wanted to just try to make them experience those things and see just how much positivity can come out of it, like how much they can change. And we all had to start with nothing much at the beginnings of our lives. Only by our experiences, like even things as little as what we see first thing when we were brought to this earth and here, were very contributing to who we finally become. So everybody has about the same mentality and capacity to learn. Nobody is like so much higher IQ than all the other people, and everybody, in my opinion, could change because we just had some different experiences and we could try to understand each other and give everyone opportunities, and that's how more equality can be brought upon. So if you know what I mean. And like I said, from zero to something is how we become who we are. So wanted to give everybody a chance to change and be better always, and it wasn't with any exception. And I was always indiscriminately willing to help anyone that I could. And now concerning that, I want to share with you the legendary history and background of Darth Vader. Are you a Star Wars fan? So you would know about Darth Vader, the legendary villain of the Star Wars series. So he was a very great knight also, and most people might think he's bad and evil, but I don't, and I'm going to quickly explain to you why not now. He was born as a slave to a slave mother who raised him up very poorly and tried to give him a chance to survive, so a life. But at the same time, he was very brilliant and skilled at so many things, so finally got discovered by two knights who took him away to train him to become a lot better and to become somewhat like a superhero. He could in the end, but he was taken from his mother who gave him what he needed when he was young just to survive by trying so hard. So do note that I mentioned how I wanted to give back to people who give me things. So he must have had that feeling too. But back then, and according to the storyline, he had no way to contact his mother as soon as he was taken away from her, because there were no internet or other forms of connection in the movie. So he had no contact with her whatsoever after he was taken, and he missed her a lot. And he was scared of losing her because he hadn't, in my opinion, given back anything to her back then. So he sometimes felt very traumatic and had visions of her suffering, and so he was very afraid to lose someone that he loved. And when he finally could go back to her and see her for the first time after so many years, and only after he had grown up, his mother was finally at the ends of some kidnappers and was killed. So he had that very tragic story, like that, being separated from his very should be grateful towards person. And then when he finally got a chance to thank her and see her, at least, not to say give back, she was gone again. So from that core, the character of Darth Vader developed little by little and finally became that ruthless looking guy who wasn't even so human anymore and was ready to do anything, and even went into the dark side to protect those that he held dear and loved. So that was just an example, and from those perspectives I tried to see the reasons behind everything and everyone, and almost always, because of my willingness to do that, I was able to understand and sympathize with them. That was, I assume, the core reason why my purpose came to be about changing, with no exception, the whole world. Because, like you would have already known, everything and everyone counted as who I could help. And I have to tell you, it's not all bad if some problems are not as simple as they look, because it can be the case for some people depending on their knowledge and experience. Some of them may appear very complicated and they wouldn't know where to start with them. That way there can be more than one solution, and we can be sure of the exactly right one to solve that problem. So we're going to tackle all these solutions and try to see a problem from different perspectives to reframe it, and that way we will finally get to the right method and also give us critical thinking variety, which is indeed useful and kind of necessary brain work. Now, after being given quite a few good reasons of why purpose should be forever according to the way it's formed, and backed up by my own experience and proven, I think you would know that purpose is very powerful. But whatever we do, we need both passion and purpose. I'm going to make sure you get the idea by the end of this video. So firstly, I want to state this example research that will prove the point. Pierre Boccalendro cites in research done with over 5,000 employees over 5 years that at the workplace and at companies, employees who had both passion and purpose were in the 80th percentile of performance. But if we're going to take the passion out and only leave them with the purpose, then the performance would go down to the 64th percentile. Anyway, if we're going to leave only passion and no purpose, then it will plummet all the way down to the 20th percentile. It should be taken into consideration considering just how big and different the numbers are and how it is reality. Purpose isn't ever gone unless it's fulfilled. And after that, then another purpose can come that way. So purpose is by nature significant and great, because if a thing isn't great or out of the ordinary, then we could assume that everybody could have that thing, and so it'll become a norm, and we won't try so hard to achieve something that's already there anymore. We try to get things that aren't and do things that haven't been done before. So purpose, and somehow we all just try to be great. So thinking that way, purpose makes action and life worthwhile. And it's not like some people's purpose, which appear very simple and not so extraordinary, are to be frowned or looked down upon. Because for some people, their purpose is pretty simple, just to be happy and to make those around them happy. In order to be truly and meaningfully happy, needs a lot of components and effort. So your purpose just has to mean and be realized very clearly to yourself for it to become your purpose. How can we make sure then our purpose is fulfilled? It happens through action choices. Now, I have to tell you something. If we are going to do something that we are only passionate about without any purpose, then it can just turn out to be good or bad, and like I just mentioned, which is already very clear to you. But if we are going to do things to fulfill our purpose, although we're not passionate about them, then it leads to become acts of nobility. I'm going to give you an example. For me, I'm very passionate about making these videos and communicating and influencing the world for the better through the world's language, English. But I absolutely dislike putting in subtitles in every one of my videos. But these days, it's my situation that I can't hire anybody else and I have to only do it myself, the subtitling. So in order to get to my purpose to make the videos accessible by everyone and for everyone to watch them as conveniently as possible, I am doing that. Some dispassionate thing of mine to get to my purpose. So because I value my purpose to be a very good intended one, so it would lead to it being an act of being noble. And do you know how magic happens? It is when passion and purpose are aligned, so that we will actually just enjoy and feel meaningful towards getting our purpose, and it will make things a lot easier for us. Won't you agree? So we need to have our passion to get to our purpose if we plan to really stick to these actions in the long run. And for us to be able to do that, we need to enjoy them. So let's talk about passion a little here. I mentioned here, passion will influence our action choices. Here comes a big question. How can we know our passion? For this one, we have to really think openly and get the growth mindset, because we're going to learn what we're good at or not, and also what we enjoy or not through our own trials and errors. So be open to experiment and get experience to really find out your true passion. So passion is in turn a lot of work. And for it to really benefit and contribute to our purpose, let's redefine passion a little. Maybe you have so many passions, but what is your one or two main big passions? You have to answer this question now. Passion is something you can't help doing. For example, if your passion is to play basketball, then you are going to take whatever the challenge or circumstance there is just to play basketball whenever, whatever, however, with whoever. So that way, it could be called your passion, and you have to filter out your true passions that way. What is it again? It is something you can't help doing, so you have to do it on a regular basis, or you just can't do. Alright, now let's redefine our purpose then, in my favorite way. Purpose is the big reason or goal behind our existence, which is the surest to be achieved through good use of our passions. And why is it so important? I'm going to now state a very good and relatable workplace example. A company needs to have a very clear vision, which is a term for the workplace, but you could just say it's purpose. Because, like I already mentioned, purpose, or vision in this case, entails and encompasses so many different components and parts, like different stories, backgrounds, and more importantly, I'm trying to say here, beliefs. So, if the employees at a company don't share the same beliefs, then it's going to lead to them having conflicts, and in the end, the company is very unlikely to achieve its final ambition. So the people at a company, for example, need to share or at least agree on one big and united purpose vision. Now, to motivate you towards purpose and shed more light on its importance, I'm going to say the 6 human needs by renowned coach and speaker Anthony Robbins. The first one of which goes certainty. So through following the guidelines and the described methods in this video, certainty can be achieved, or at least felt. The second need goes uncertainty. Depending on how big or great, as defined in this video, our purpose is, it's going to bring us challenges and excitement. But we are going to openly welcome them as those we have chosen to power through and fight and grow from. So there's going to be uncertainty, more or less, but it is going to be alright. The third need is significance. Like I said, purpose is great and significant. Doing things so as to achieve a significant goal, we will feel significant and its significance. Especially the ones who have already realized their purpose will know the transcendence feeling that it brings. So it's feeling transcended when you finally come upon that ultimate realization, and it's a feeling like no other. You will know Oprah Winfrey, who's like the world's most influential woman, once said, "Success equals service and significance," because purpose is about contributing, or we will use the word serving here instead. And also, significant, it already has the 2 factors of service and significance. So if we have a purpose and we are working with and on our purpose, then we are almost sure to be successful, according to what the great Oprah Winfrey said. And when we're serving others, we are sure to feel love and connection from and to those people, and also from and to ourselves, because it stems from purpose born from us, which is the 4th need, and it's checked. In Tony Robbins' 6 human needs theory, growth is the 5th need. Every action can help us grow. Our purpose will guide us in our growth and give us a meaningful one. Contribution is the 6th need. If we have purpose, we have the need to give beyond ourselves, give, care, protect, and serve others. And if we are doing passionate or dispassionate work towards our purpose, we are either happily or meaningfully, or both, fulfilling our need for contribution. So, purpose completes and fulfills us. Yet, it still is hard to stick with it sometimes, and we easily feel like a waste of space. How can we make sure our lives are as purposeful as they can be? What key mindset do we need to guide and train ourselves to be and feel truly useful and truly productive by purpose? There is a key mindset. We need it in addition to what is in this video. So I will bring the key and give it to you in the next video for MC's Logic. Till then, take care and remember to live with purpose. All the very best.